Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Nancia Leath, and I'm so excited about this raw story. We have two amazing women that's going to encourage you as well as help you with your voice. All right, let's bring them on. Hi, Jacqui. How are you today?
Hi there. I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm well. Please tell us a little about yourself.
Sure. So I'm Jacqui Letran. I am an author. I have four self-help books for teenagers, and I also work as a mindset mentor, holistic healer, helping women to overcome emotional trauma, discover their voice, and create inner peace.
Wow. So, what started or what encouraged you to do what you do today?
It started because I was that troubled teenager that I'm so passionate about helping. And
Hmm.
when I was struggling, I didn't have the resources I needed. I looked,
Hmm.
but I couldn't find, books that really resonated with me. A lot of the books I found as a teenager were more for adults.
Okay.
And, reading these adult books, I have to try to figure out like, well, what really applies to me and what doesn't. And some talk down to me, some use big scenarios and big words, and I didn't
Hmm.
understand it. So when I got to the place I got where I had a lot of knowledge and felt it was time for me to share, instead of writing to adults, which are my clients, I wrote for teenagers, teenage girls specifically.
Okay. And the theme of our conversation with you is the bully within you. Expand on that, please.
Okay, so I've been a mindset mentor for 10 years. My husband and I started that podcast 3 years ago now, 2 years ago, actually.
Okay.
And the reason that we started the Stop the Bully Within podcast was two reasons. Reason one is we wanted to give back. We know that not everybody have the resources to go and get help from a mental health counselor or a coach or a mindset mentor, and we know the information that we both are very versed in could be
Hmm.
incredibly helpful. So we
Hmm.
started the podcast for that reason. Second reason, and the name of the podcast, Stop the Bully Within, came from my personal work. I recognize that no matter why a person was in to see me,
Hmm.
their biggest problem, seriously, is they are their biggest bully.
Wow.
There are definitely situations that, there's detrimental stuff with external world,
Hmm.
but what they do to themselves through their words is incredibly damaging. And we wanted to bring awareness to that so that people can go, okay, yeah, oh my gosh, I never saw myself as a bully. I saw myself as a victim, right?
Okay.
But when you think about the words that you use talking to yourself when you made a mistake, when you had a perceived failure,
Hmm.
those words, if you said it to anybody else, would be would not be okay. You would be labeled a bully for sure. And so that's why we started that podcast. And we did 2 seasons, and then we had to step back because of life.
Hmm. So, Jacqui, give me an example of bully. How do you bully yourself? Give me an example of that, please.
Okay, I'll twist it a little bit. So you and I are having this conversation. You and I are friends, and you said, Jacqui, oh my gosh, I made the worst mistake today. I am so afraid that I'm going to get fired because I just made that stupid mistake.
Hmm.
And I look at you and I go, yeah, you should be fired. You're stupid. You're good for nothing, right?
Hmm.
That conversation would never happen with
Right,
you and
right,
a
right.
person, but it happens with you and you all the time.
Mm.
I mean, like
So I
women
guess you're saying
especially.
the word stupid is more like the bullying part. So when that person called themselves stupid, is that what you mean? I just want to make
Yes,
sure.
yes,
Okay.
because if a person said that to you over and over again, wouldn't you call that person a bully?
Yeah, I would. I would call that person. That person called me stupid. Right. That's
Right?
good. That is good. So basically, the negative talk or the negative self talk is really what you saying. You, I guess, the same meaning for bully.
Right. The inner critic, the negative self-talk. I
Hmm.
like the inner bully because it just draws so much attention to it.
Hmm.
Because again, when we think of a bully, we think of somebody out there being hurtful to us or hurtful to other people. But
Right.
truly are the most hurtful people to ourselves. And even when there is a bullying situation, and that's never good,
Hmm. Hmm.
but that bullying situation stop sometime during the day,
Hmm.
right? You might
Right.
interact with that bully once a week, once a month, maybe even once a day. The internal bully, the bully within, is there 24/7,
Wow, that's powerful. You're right, Jackie. You're
right?
right. Hmm.
And
And
yeah,
wow. And so if that person have that bully in that long term, or and they so used to doing that, what do you do to help them stop, or for, I guess, how can I say it, prevent them from depending on that bully? Or how
right.
do you stop?
Well, the first thing is really about awareness, right? Most of us, again, don't know that we are our biggest bully.
Hmm.
So making them aware of that is something that is most likely happening in their world that is holding them back is the first step. Step two is really teaching them really what the inner bully is. And
Hmm.
the inner bully actually isn't that terrible. I mean, when you think about, that critical voice that you have that's constantly putting you down or putting fear in you, a lot of people are afraid of that voice, right? Or,
Hmm.
or they're ashamed of that voice or embarrassed of that voice. Well, that voice came about as a way of protecting you at one time.
Hmm.
Your inner bully really started out as your best friend
Right.
and your protector. And
Hmm.
so the inner bully really is your subconscious mind, right? And
Hmm.
your subconscious mind's biggest directive is to keep you safe, quote unquote safe.
Hmm.
And so physically, it makes sure your heart is beating, it makes sure you're breathing, it makes sure your kidney, your lungs, everything is working perfectly to keep you physically alive.
Hmm.
And then the mental emotional part of it, it keeps you safe by keeping you in that tiny little box. Safe to the subconscious mind, to the inner bully, is do not change. Stay exactly the way you are. We know how to run this program. We know how to be depressed. We know how to be scared. That success, that's kind of scary. If we try to go for the success, we will fail. People will reject us. They will know that we're imposters. You know, our family, our friends, our clients will shun us and we'll lose everything, right?
Mm.
And so the bully isn't trying to hurt you. It doesn't hate you. It's not really doing that. It's trying to protect you,
Okay.
but in a very young, fearful way. The inner bully started when you were a child,
Hmm.
and your inner bully never really grew up. So as an adult, you see situations that you want to pursue, and like if I achieve that, that's going to be amazing. But to a little kid looking at that big thing, that's scary.
Hmm.
And so your inner bully is working hard to protect you, and it know that if you are fearful,
Hmm.
chances are you're not going to go forward. Therefore, you didn't put yourself at risk. Therefore, you stay quote unquote safe.
Mm. So basically, you start believing that inner bully.
Well, if you hear something over and over and over again, especially in the sound of your voice, it's pretty hard to get away from, isn't it?
It is. It is. Can you give us an example about yourself, your own life, and how you had to attack that inner bully? Give us an example when you was listening to that inner bully and what you did to come out of it personally.
Yeah, definitely. So I started, my younger day, I had depression and anxiety, and my confidence was non-existent.
Hmm.
So the words I used to talk to myself constantly were put downs. But I'm going to fast forward to when I was a little bit older. I was 32, 33-ish at this point.
Hmm.
And I haven't gotten to the point of understanding self-talk and inner bully and mindset and healing yet. At
Hmm.
that time, I was a nurse practitioner and I was starting my very first business.
Hmm.
And that was a medical clinic for teenagers. I really wanted to help teenagers, so I started a clinic that worked on that provided pregnancy prevention, STD prevention, and also a lot of mental health care.
Okay.
And so, as you start a clinic, you need a lot of different service providers, right?
Right.
You
Hmm.
need lab technicians, you need janitors, you need all these different supplies, people who want your business desperately, right?
Hmm.
They're
Hmm.
making sales call and they're hoping to get your business. But my self-talk was, who am I?
Hmm.
What am I even doing opening this clinic? Who's gonna want to have a contract with me? I have
Hmm.
no proven record. I don't have good, credit history in my business. I'm
Hmm.
gonna call all of these different sales rep in and they're gonna look at me and laugh,
Right. Hmm.
right? And I was terrified. I mean, like I put it off as long as I humanly can.
Hmm.
And when I had to, I did it, and my voice was shaking, and I couldn't make eye contact. And I was practically begging them to work with me, and they really wanted to do anything to work with me, right?
Mhm.
The self-talk was really, again, you don't know what you're doing. You have no
Mm.
business opening a business, you
Right.
and of course, the business I started too is a controversial business, birth
Mhm.
control for teenagers.
Right.
So there's that added, question mark for me, and
Mhm.
how are the community members going to receive me, and am I going to have a bunch of protesters? It's going to end up being a mini Planned Parenthood with all of these stuff. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, the self talk is incredibly damaging. And now, though, fast forward many years later, the talk that I give myself is incredibly positive and supportive and kind. I truly talk to myself like I'm my best friend. I am my best friend. My husband is also my best friend, but
Mhm.
between the two of us,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, we're very supportive of each other and of ourselves. And it's amazing when you start talking to yourself as if you truly love yourself, as if that you want to give that love and support to, as if you would anybody else that you love, right?
Mhm.
We just
Mhm.
don't do that to ourselves naturally, but that's
Mhm.
a skill that you can learn very easily.
Yes. And so how can a person learn very easily? Great.
First thing again is awareness. Everything is going to go back to awareness, right?
Mhm.
Most of us don't realize how often we put ourselves down.
Mhm.
So the first stage is awareness. So if you really want to understand about your inner bully, just for a couple of days, pay attention to your self-talk. Write down everything you say to yourself. And you're going to look at this list and you're going to go, oh my gosh, negative, 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 two positives. And so, just like when you're dieting and you really put down the calorie of everything you put in your mouth, you're
Mhm.
like, oh, I really am not at 2,000 calories a day. I'm at 5,400 calories a day,
Mhm.
right? So becoming really aware of it, and then making a point that when you catch yourself speaking to yourself in a way you would not speak to another person,
Mhm.
change it. I mean,
Mhm.
just because you said something doesn't mean you have to just let it go. You can apologize to yourself as well as you can apologize to anybody else. So once you become aware, start practicing.
That's good.
Affirmations are a wonderful way to start seeing yourself differently. And with
Mhm.
my clients, I help them create what I call a masterpiece. And a
Mhm.
masterpiece is more or less, a story version of affirmation.
Mm. That's
And
good.
in the masterpiece, it's about you and your life, imagining living your life at the level you want it to be. What does that look like? What does that feel like? And
Mhm.
I usually give my clients prompts and then let them finish. So I would start with, imagine that you have been living your best life now for 3 months. Give
Mhm.
me three adjectives. How do you feel? And everything is in the present tense, not I will feel confident. It's I am confident. And then
Mhm.
I just go through this whole thing, and then we'll talk about their day, and then we go into, and I love and accept myself.
Mhm.
And people get stuck
Wow.
because a lot of people unfortunately don't love and don't accept themselves. And so I help them through that. What does that look like? What are some of your best qualities? And some people cannot come up with their best qualities because they have been bullying themselves for so long. They've been calling
Right.
themselves name and putting themselves down, that
Mhm.
they really devalue themselves so much
Mhm.
that when I ask them about that, they just cannot come up with an answer. And if that's your case, I would ask you to think about, what compliment would you like to hear from other people,
That's good.
right?
Mhm.
If you don't have
Mhm.
it yet, pull it from somewhere, and then create I am statements. And then
Mhm.
once we have the whole masterpiece, then their homework assignment is, look it over again, give it a little bit of time, make sure this is the masterpiece you want to work on in this moment, because a masterpiece is a living art, right? You don't work on one piece for the rest of your life.
Right.
And then rewrite it if they want to. And then once they have it the way they want it, then their job is then to record that masterpiece in their
Mhm.
own voice, which a lot of my clients hate. They're like,
Mhm.
Jacqui, just couldn't you do that for me? I'm like, no. Part of what I'm helping you do is love and accept every part of you,
That's good.
voice included,
Mm.
right? And so a lot of people get uncomfortable, but after they hear themselves a few times, it's very comforting
Mm-hmm.
to hear you talk to yourself in such a beautiful, positive, uplifting way. And so I have them recorded with, I asked them to imagine they are like the best actor or actresses in the history. And
Mm-hmm.
this is their movie script. And now they're going to use their voice, their inflection, their intonation, their body language to bring their script to life. Because if you're watching a movie and it's like, an actress is on screen, it's like, oh, I had such an amazing day. I'm so excited for what's to come, right? You're gonna be like throwing on tomatoes at them. But even if you're not there yet, if you just put that actress face on and imagine you having already achieved it, and you say those statements with power, with purpose,
Mm-hmm.
with determination, and you bring in as much of that good feelings as you can as you're recording it. And then when you listen to the masterpiece, you imagine all of that in your mind. So
Mm-hmm.
you're not just listening to it, you're living it.
That's good.
It's
That's
a
good.
Thank you. I love this. I mean, like, my clients are blown away. At first, they're like, this feels so weird. It feels like I'm tricking myself. I'm lying to myself. Who does this? I'm a loser. I mean, the bully is still there, right? And the example I would give them is, okay, so you go to the gym to work out because you want to work on your body, and you're
Mm-hmm.
lifting weight and you're running and you're doing cardio, you're doing all of that. Are you fooling your body to change? Or are you actually working your body to
Or
change?
it's a
Right.
process, right? That's
And
good.
so the mental, emotional is no different. The workout's
Mm-hmm.
different, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still a workout to improve that muscle that you don't yet have to the level that you want. And so once I explain it to them like that, they're like, oh, okay, I can do that.
That
It
is so good.
becomes easier.
Wow, that is so good. What if we have a young lady like right now? We had a lot of women and women who thrive, and a lot of them going back into the, I guess, go back to work or starting their businesses. A lot of work from home businesses, and before Corona, they had a lot of clients, and right now they have to rebuild. Because they lost a lot of money. A lot of them. How will you encourage them to address their inner bullies?
I would sit down and write down my fears.
Mm,
Like,
that's-
you know,
mhm.
let the inner bully talk for a moment. And see what the inner bully has to say. I'm so terrified because, this corona thing. I don't want to get sick. Write it down. I am terrified that I'm never going to sign up another client and then I'll go broke and be homeless. Write it down. Write down everything that you fear. Write down all of those things that are holding you back. And
Mhm.
then take the time to look at each statement and create a positive affirmation from that. So if you just have that statement of, I'm afraid I'm going to be broke. Okay? We just go with something simple. If every interaction you go into and you have that mindset, oh my gosh, I'm going to go broke. I'm going to go broke. You're going to come off in a way that's not going to attract your clients.
That's
You're
good.
going to come up incredibly desperate, right?
Mhm.
Oh, please, please work with me because I don't want to be homeless.
Mhm.
I feel for you, but no, right?
Mhm. Right.
If you change that talk instead of I'm
Yeah.
terrified, you
Mhm.
know, I'm going to go broke, what would be the ideal picture for you,
Mhm.
right? And it could be something like I attract clients effortlessly.
Yes.
How does that feel going into an interaction? I'm going to go broke or I
Mhm.
attract client effortlessly,
Mm.
right? Your
Right.
mindset's going to be different, your interaction is going to be different, your body language, everything about you is going to be different. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, I don't believe that statement that I attract client effortlessly because I've been trying for the past 3 months, 6 years, or whatever, and I've been struggling,
Right.
you know? And so here's
Mhm.
the thing about affirmations that people don't teach. Affirmation doesn't work unless you do it right. And most people just say, throw out those biggest, most beautiful sentence you can come up with. No, that doesn't work because if you don't believe it, when you
That's
see the
it.
affirmation, you're going to feel like crap,
Mhm.
right? I'm so confident. And then you just think, so write down the things you truly want to create. Say the affirmation with as much energy as you can, but pay attention to your body. Your body's not going to lie to you.
Mm-hmm.
When you say the affirmation, if you are in alignment with it, you're going to feel nice and at ease. If
Mm-hmm.
you're not in alignment, your body will let you know. You're going to have that butterfly in your stomach. You're going to feel pain in your chest. You're going to feel heaviness in your shoulders or wherever your negative energy is expressed. Your body will give you some sort of sign. And so when you say the affirmation, really pay attention to your body. If it's in alignment, awesome, right? If
Mm-hmm.
it's not in alignment, be good to yourself and take some extra time to get in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
So what you would do at that point is you would realize, okay, so I said I'm confident and I have this butterfly sinking feeling in my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Close your eyes and take in a very big deep breath. And as you breathe in, imagine using your breath to just pick up that whatever sensation that your body is showing you and just hold that with your breath. So breathe in for a count of 3, imagining you're picking up that sensation,
Mm-hmm.
holding the sensation for a count of 3, and then choosing to let it go.
Oh, I love it.
And then do it again,
That is
right?
so good.
Breathe in, collect, hold. And here's the cool thing about holding your breath too. As you're holding your breath, you're doing this on purpose, right? But you
Mm-hmm.
can feel that tension rising. You can feel yourself being very uncomfortable. And
Mm-hmm.
then you have the power to let go of that discomfort.
Yes.
We create our own discomfort all the time. And when we do it purposefully with our breath, it becomes very easy to acknowledge that we created that discomfort and we have the power to let it go.
That's so good.
I
Oh, what you
can
just said
talk
was
about this
so
all day. I
rich.
love this stuff.
You could tell what you said was so rich. The idea that you create the tension and you also have the power to, uncreate. So that is so good, or even change it. So that
Right?
is so good. And you can see even the listeners that are watching you. A lot of them saying, "Wow, all right, this is really good." And so I want to say, "Yes, yes." So basically, they are learning something from it, which is amazing. Because right now, we honestly want to give you the tools in order to thrive. And we're so thankful for the two ladies that are here today, because the words that they are saying to you, it's not just words, to sound intelligent. It's really information to help you thrive and things that they have gone through. And something else, before we even bring closure to your conversation, how would you like to encourage the ladies?
Well, I would love for you to do what I am sharing with you right now is, you know, again, acknowledge your fear. There is
Mhm,
no shame in that. Until you acknowledge it, you can't really do a whole lot about it.
mhm.
Acknowledge your fear and then use the steps I'm going through. May I finish the steps because I think it's going to be so helpful.
Mm, wow. Thank
So
you so much.
can I
And
can I have like 1 minute
go
to finish
ahead.
the
Yes. Go ahead. I thought you said I was finishing the steps. I apologize. Go
All
ahead.
right. 2 deep breaths in, like I was talking about. And
Hmm.
then if you go back to the whole I am statement, your mind will most likely fight you again. Soften that statement. This is the part that people don't teach that works really magically.
Hmm.
Soften it to I'm willing to be confident. How does that feel differently? I am confident. When you're not, you're going to have all sorts of negative feelings. I'm
Hmm.
willing to be confident. Well, yeah, you are willing. I'm willing to attract all of these amazing clients, right?
Hmm.
I'm willing to be provided for. I'm willing to have healthy relationships.
Hmm.
So start with I am, because that is the most powerful way to create affirmation. Listen to your body. If your body is telling you you're out of alignment, soften it to I'm willing to be. And if your body is still out of alignment, 2 more breaths. I'm willing to know it is possible to be. Your mind won't fight that one.
Yes. Wow. That is so good. That is so good. Wow. Thank you so much, Jacqui. We really appreciate you. And someone wanted to say, Amen. I guess it was a prayer to him too. You just, I guess it was a confirmation. I love it. I love it. How can, if they want to use your services as a coach, how can they get in touch with you?
My website is going through a whole rebuild right now, so I don't have one active. I do have my teenage book site that's active, but the easiest way is Facebook. I am on Facebook a lot, way more than I should be. So go off my personal page, send me a message. I respond pretty quickly, and I do have a free resource if anybody wants it. It's a little ebook I put together called 6 Easy Ways to Conquer Your Inner Critic. So it's about that whole inner bully again, but in a nicer term.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And if you want to find her Facebook page, you will see her name is written there. We made sure so you can see her name, and all you have to do is do a search and you'll be able to find her page because her name is very peculiar, which is beautiful. Wow, we thank you so much, Jacqui, and I will make sure you come back because I want you to also do a master class with the group because the knowledge you have, I really believe it can help us. And thank you so much for your time. Wow, the next young lady we have, she is amazing. I have been following her page, I say about a couple of weeks, to be honest with you. We are both in a different group, and we decided to follow each other on IG, and she is powerful. She has a voice. She is strong. And most of all, she is very confident. And you may say, how do you know if a person is confident, Nancia? I study people pages, okay? I go on there. I see what they post. And what she is bold. And you're going to see when you meet her. And most of all, she's based also on her page. She is also kind. I never spent face-to-face time with her. However, based on what I see and based on her voice, I honestly believe you will gain something from her as well. Come on.
Hello there. Nancia, did we lose you? I think we might have lost Nancia. What do you all think? Let's see if she comes back.
I'm back.
There you are. Was that a test?
I had no idea. Just went out and came back in. I apologize. How are you? I told you.
I'm good.
She just came in and just took over the screen.
Well, and I wasn't sure. Do I need to riff here? Do I need to like say, hey, everybody?
I love it. Please tell them a little about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Jen Buck, and yes, we found each other on Instagram, which is really cool, but I'm a professional speaker, and what that means is that I work with high-performing women. And so when there are keynotes, when you've got these huge events with 34,000 people, I'm often the one that's brought in to do the motivation, the strategy, working with the different women who might be, some type of sales representative within an organization. Maybe it's an association. I'm brought in to do the work with them. So I've been speaking now technically I've had my own business for 22 years. I've written 4 books. I've got a 5th one coming out, yay, in October. And before that, I was a trainer for 10 years at Discover Card. So literally all I've ever done in my whole life is just speak to audiences and teach leadership development. And so, it's that whole umbrella of helping somebody become the best leader, high performer that they can be.
Wow, I love it. If you had a person that came to you, a beginner, and wanted to start and decided to become a leader, how will you start them off? What would be the process?
That's a great question because I think that everybody has it in them. I really believe that. I'm not somebody that thinks that there are some that are born to be leaders and others are born to be supporters. I just don't believe that. I think when we can really zero in on what lights your soul on fire, when we can really tap into your purpose, what is your purpose on this planet, we can start moving you toward giving you a platform. See, that's one of the things that I think a lot of people don't realize is that they have a platform, they have a voice, they have a reason that they're here. I constantly tell my clients that, you signed on the dotted line to be right here long before you were born. Yeah, so let's fulfill that prophecy. Like, what is your purpose here? And let's get you rolling and let's get you moving in that space because that's what you signed up to come here and do. So that's, so you asked what we get them to do, zero in on what their purpose is, zero in on what sets their soul on fire and get them moving towards creating a platform through their community, through communication with people around them, through different orgs that they're connected to. We start creating momentum.
I love that. What if you have someone that's shy and they're afraid, but they really want to do this? How will you help that person?
Yeah, and I think we all sort of, have some of that. We're not sure how far to go, how much to say, what will people think, and that's one of the things that you've seen my Instagram profile, I'm having to realize, sorry, it is on fire, we know, but here's the thing though, I think that when when you are lit from inside with something that's important to you, you find that fire, even if you're putting on, some type of face, if you will, right? You have to, it's like a mask that you sometimes have to put on. And sometimes you have to step into sort of your inner Sasha Fierce, where you are willing to be more, you're willing to do more, you're willing to say more than you normally would in your own life. And I think finding that ferocity, that fierceness, I think is in all of us. And when you believe so much and you're so sold out toward what it is you're here to do, sell, be, say, experience, whatever it is, I think that usually is something that is easily overcomable, if we want to say it that way. I sound like another professional speaker out there. Easily overcomable, so that if we have to put you in a fake spot at first, to give you, this mask and this illusion to act out, that's okay. But before you know it, you're riffing, because this is the space that you were born to step within. That's what I truly believe about each of us. So
give us an example of one of your, I guess, hardest clients that you had to deal with.
Oh boy. So I think what is tough for me in general is when I have people who are unwilling to move, unwilling to try something new. They're afraid. And, fear is something we all deal with. And I teach people, women in particular, how to tap into their deepest bravery, right? And so that's an important thing for all of us. But when I get somebody who's unwilling to try, unwilling to listen, unwilling to get beyond their buts. Yeah, but we have to have a serious conversation here and say, what are we doing? What are we doing here together? And so I'm someone who gets, I think, challenged by people who can be a bit short-sighted. They can be a bit narrow-minded. They don't see opportunity and possibility. My whole life, I've been somebody that says I'm going to do something and people laugh, because it's who am I, right? That's when I know what they're thinking. Who are you to do that? And I think that when we can tap into that deep bravery, and I don't just mean the brave stuff like I'm going to talk back to that person right now. I mean the stuff that's so deep that if I say something right now, this could be a make or break moment. Like that's the stuff that scares people. And when I can work with people that are willing to go there, like we are fire, we're in. The people that I'm challenged by are the ones that are just not even there. All they want to do is create one roadblock in front of another, or one excuse in front of another. And that's what I get challenged with. But, I've been trained to overcome that stuff with them. So I can usually pull out my magic,
I believe it. So tell me a little more about you. Now we're going to step a little more about you, if that's okay.
Sure.
What helped you get to this place? Did anything in your life or traumatic or even exciting to help you to where you are today? I know you started with Discovery Car from the beginning.
Yep.
But what helped you be who you are today? This woman who you are today.
So, here's the thing about me that I really do think I listen to a call, and I mean that from sort of this, spiritual moment, or this big sort of moment where the lightning bolt struck. I think I listened to it early on. Really, I think that is what makes me a little bit unique here. So I was a freshman in college, and I was messing around, and I was not going to school, and I was failing, and I was hanging out with the boys and drinking and, all of those things. And I was just not doing well my freshman year. My mom insisted that we go to a women's conference. And it was the very first year that women's conferences had ever come out. Wow. And I remember I was angry. I didn't want to be there. And as I'm sitting there, sulking because I don't want to be around all of these hoity-toity women, there were 3,500 women there. Mm-hmm. And so as we're sitting there, the keynote speaker gets up, and I looked at my mom and I said, "Who's the old broad?" And she looked at me shocked, and she said, "That's Joan Rivers." It was Joan Rivers. Now, here's the thing, though. Joan Rivers was not like the Joan that we all loved right before she died, right? Like, she had come off of her big fight with Johnny Carson, and she had a daytime show and a nighttime show, and she had failed, and she was in the, I don't know. I was too young. I just didn't get her, and I didn't know her comedy. And here's the thing, though. I found myself eventually leaning in and kind of getting excited about what she was saying. And then I was laughing and then I'm crying and then I'm just getting all into these stories. And I remember when she was done, I stood up and I was literally doing the first standing ovation of my life. But it was just like this thing that came through me. And I knew at that moment, that's what I'm supposed to do. Like I knew it that clearly. My mom actually asked me later, well, Jen, did you decide what you're going to be when you grow up, right? Because she thought maybe like doctor or nurse and, something that's responsible. And I said to her, you know what, Mom, I'm going to be a motivational speaker. And my mom goes, no, I mean, for real, like, what are you going to do for a job? And I said, I'm going to be a speaker. And she tried to talk me out of it the whole way home. And I tell you this because that was my beacon. And so everything that I did, I tried to think about what Joan had done. I started reading about Joan Rivers. I started watching her life. I knew that I had to write books. I knew that I had to have a radio show. I knew I had to have a television show. I did all of these things. Wow. And I did them because I understood that I was following someone else's blueprint. That's important, right? I was following her blueprint. Not exactly, because I'm not a comedian. I'm not into fashion. I mean, you know what I mean, right? Yeah. But I was following the blueprint. And so when I got a little older, I realized that I had this platform, like I built this platform and I had a responsibility. And I come from a very multicultural family. And I knew that I also come from a political family. My dad was in politics, local politics, but still my whole life. And so my young life. And I needed to make sure that I was using my platform the right way. Yes, and that's what got me in speaking. I speak on diversity all the time. Yes. And I go into places that do not want to talk about it. They don't want to hear that they've got, these beliefs that are keeping them from treating people fairly. They don't want to hear it, but they have to. Right. And so I started using that. I got into politics. I lead very, very, very large groups in this country. And I work in politics every day for a candidate who's running for U.S. Congress. So, I mean, my point in telling you this is just to say, I started to understand that there was a driver that opened up doors and I had a blueprint and then I couldn't stop. I had to keep following it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now we're about to switch gears a little bit. That's why I was so excited to have you because you have so much power. And you said something earlier talking about the idea of being able to communicate about racial. And right now a lot is happening now. Give us an example of what you do in order to help another person understand.
Sure. So this has been obviously a horrible time, but here's the thing about this. I've taught diversity and inclusion and belonging since about 1996.
Okay.
Long time.
Wow.
And so, as you know, this is not a new issue.
Right.
This has been going on. Just because we had a Black first family does not mean that we'd gotten over all of that, right? We were not suddenly, a diverse nation that was excited to be, creating a feeling of belonging for everyone. It's just not realistic. It's not what was happening. And so I know as a woman of privilege, because I have white skin, that it is my responsibility to speak up and to tell the truth. But I also know, here's the thing, I can't do that with aggression, because if I do that with aggression, they're not going to hear me. So I can put something out that is really, really strong, right, on Instagram, as you've seen, but it's always about kindness. And it's always about, listen, I'm here. I know, I've been there. It's about being great. It's about learning. It's about expanding. It's about understanding the way your brain works, and it really is about talking to people with kindness. But here's the thing. I've lost hundreds of followers. Wow. Granted, I've gained thousands.
Got it. That's awesome.
But I've lost hundreds. And it was because I chose to really utilize my platform and say that somebody needs to speak on this. Since you're not going to listen to it being done the way you want it to without noise, because when Cap went on his knee, that wasn't good enough either. And since you're not going to listen to people that are out right now begging for your attention, maybe you'll listen to the white lady that's saying, hey, listen, This is what you have to realize you're doing, and it's working. There's the good news. It's working.
Yeah.
But I can't sit by with privilege and a platform. Very important.
Good.
And not push that envelope hard.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's great, because the title or your theme is use your voice. And we have a lot of white ladies in our group as well. And they have a voice, but honestly afraid and don't know how to use it. How will you encourage them today if they wanted to use their voice in the same way, because they recognize they do have privilege as well as a platform?
Yeah. So I have a very good friend that helped me hone what I do even. And one of the things that she said to me is, Jen, if you're speaking to everyone, you're speaking to no one. So you've got to get crystal clear on who you're speaking to. And so I would say to these women that are thriving out there that if you're trying to sell to everyone, you're selling to no one. You got to get crystal clear on who your ideal client is. You've got to know exactly who that person is. And I have become crystal clear that if you are not a progressive, open-minded, inclusive person who supports BLM and the movement of equality in this country, you're not my customer.
Wow. I
had to come to that. And that's an interesting, and I'm going to tell you something, very empowering place to be, because let me tell you how many people I lost. I mean, when I say hundreds, I mean hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And yet I'm going to tell you, I went from, in about 30 days, about 1,000 followers on Instagram to now 4,600.
Wow.
Because when you make way for the right client, your ideal client, they come. It's like the old movie. If you build it, they will come. You must be the person that you want your client to be. And when you can get so clear on that, that's what brings them to you. Yeah.
That is so good. That is so good. Wow. If we have another example, I always love to use examples because that allow people to understand, especially in this type of format. If we have a young lady that speaking, she already have engagements right now. However, when she get on stage, she becomes afraid. There and may freezes. How will you help that person?
Yeah, that's a great question, because speaking is a really hard thing to do, and your body is let's go back to Jacqui. Your body is trying to protect you. Right? That's what our minds do. And so when I go on stage and my body starts to betray me and I start to breathe heavy and my vision gets really wonky and all of a sudden I get blotchy and shaky and all those things, that's my body saying this is very unsafe. And you need to make sure that you really want to move forward, because this is potentially a scary, scary, unsafe place for you, right? It's all of that comfort zone stuff. So I would say to anybody who wants to speak, it's not about having the message, although yes, you better have your message. If you're going to speak, you better have that down, right? But it's more than that. It is knowing how to manage the platform. And the platform is understanding your audience, knowing how to move, knowing how to pace yourself, understanding how to use your stories, understanding how to really touch people, but then how to then accelerate them. I mean, there is really this choreography that goes into speaking. And so what I would say to anyone who wants to speak is get yourself a good speaking coach, someone who's been doing this a long time, somebody who knows how to work that platform. And so know that the message is there. You were born with your message. That's the fire, the soul that's burning that I was talking about, right? And so the message is there. And of course, that does have to be tight and it does have to be honed and it has to be perfect. But you also have to learn how to speak. Speaking on a platform is, very, very different than speaking to your pals. It's just very different. There's a different level of energy. There's a different pace that you have to be able to shift in and out of. There are moments and spaces on the stage that will give you more emphasis in that space. So it's like understanding a chess game in a way, So having a coach is necessary. Let me promise you, I've had lots of them, right? After this many years, now I'm a coach, but I've had lots of them. So
That's
Yeah.
awesome. You heard she said she was a coach, so get her name. She's the coach. And what's your Instagram page if people wanted to follow you?
Sure. Everything out there for me is Jen Buck Speaks. Jen Buck Speaks. So on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, everywhere. Oh, even on YouTube. I have a library actually with 60 videos that has, information for you to learn from. But everything is Jen Buck Speaks. My website, jenbuckspeaks.com. So yeah.
Wow. And to bring closure to this conversation, how would you like to encourage the audience?
I think this has been a very, very difficult time for all of us. And as a business owner, I'm feeling it too. Please know that. I have a business of 22 years, but I also have a nonprofit business, and everything just sort of was decimated overnight, if you will. At least it felt that way, right? Because we can't be in person and we can't keep our momentum going. But what I want you to know is that right now is also an incubation period. That's how I see this, an incubation period. This is the time for you to get all your stuff in line, to get your branding down pat, to get your clarity on your ideal client down so crystal clear that you know exactly who they are, to make sure that your website, your cards, your stationery, everything looks pristine. But I'm also going to tell you this, you got to be working on yourself. So now's also a good time for you to be thinking about, what kind of certifications do I want? Or what possibly do I need to do to pivot and increase my offerings? One of the things I told you that I did was I created 60 videos, and I created this library for my clients that couldn't work with me personally anymore, but I wanted their people to continue to be developed. So I created these 60 videos so that all of my clients out there could just have their employees go in and watch me in action. It was all about the pivot. I'm starting a podcast soon. Maybe you want to start a webcast. Maybe you want to think about a way that you can start doing things differently. It's an incubation period. Use this, use your contacts, use your community, use your platform. Right now, you have an opportunity to skyrocket. And instead of waiting for things to get back to the way they used to be, I think now's the time to pivot and make them the way you want them to be. And that's just what I believe this whole period of time has been about, is really creating the kind of life that you want for your business, for your family, for everything moving forward.
Wow. Thank you, lady.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So awesome. That was so awesome. And I look forward and connect with you even more, because I also want to work with you. So thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So welcome.
So Raw Stories. And thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching us. This was just oh my God, I enjoyed all of it, because I know at the end of the day, you'll be able to use the content that was provided and implement in your life. If you would like to connect with them, I will make sure I post all their information inside of Women Who Thrive, so you honestly can connect with them, follow them, use their services, because I know without doubt, both of them will be able to help you based off your needs. A lot of you desire to have those speaking engagements and learn how to speak in front of large audience. Please know Ms. Jen can help you, as well as you may be having that bully, that self-talk. You're not ready, you're trying to overcome those negative thoughts. I believe Jacqui can also help you. I will make sure I put that information in Women Who Thrive, so you can connect with them and let them know you heard them on Raw Stories inside of Women Who Thrive. And if you're not in Women Who Thrive and you're watching us from another platform, we thank you for also watching. And we thank you also for being there every week. Thank you so much, Miss Miriam. I see you. She said, thank you, thank you. And a lot of people saying, great job. And yes, it was an excellent, excellent, excellent show. You all have a great week, and we see you on next Tuesday on Raw Stories. I'm Dr. Nancia Leath, your host.